Okay, we're gonna get started in a few minutes. Is anyone making a public comment tonight and have the little card that was at the table? No one? Okay, we're good. Thank you. All righty, welcome to our school board meeting tonight. Let's please start by standing for our pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our February 27th school board meeting for the Waynesboro Area School District. Before we get started today, just a quick statement. It is with profound sadness that we acknowledge the passing of Lillian Sprouse, an 11th grade student at Washes. Our hearts ache for her family, friends, and the entire school community as we mourn this tragic loss. Lillian will be remembered for her kindness, bright spirit, and contributions to her school and community. Our thoughts and prayers are with all those affected by this devastating loss during this difficult time. And so to start, let's take a moment of silence on her behalf. Thank you. Okay. All right, once again, we welcome you to our February 27th meeting. And we are excited to have students here from Mrs. Henderson's civics class. This is, usually our meetings are not this
Lively.
lively, right? Yeah, thank you, Marvin. But we appreciate you being here to take a part of this very civic sort of action, and that is school board governance, if you will. As we understand that civics is the study of the rights and duties of citizenship. And so one of the things that people always speak about are the rights of citizenship and not necessarily the duties, right? And so hopefully that's one of the things that's being stressed as well as the rights. So let's go ahead and get started. We usually start with roll call.
Dr. Royer is not with us this evening. Mr. Hamburger,
Present.
Mrs. Miles,
Here.
Mrs. Courtney, Mr. Pence,
Here.
Mrs. Zimmerman,
Here.
Mrs. Straight,
Here.
Mr. Marvin,
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Present. Okay, we start with the approval of tonight's agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments, additions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And we move to the approval of the minutes from our February 13th meeting. Is there a motion?
I'm sorry. I'm not getting, Linda's vote's not coming through.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I need to remember to unmute me. Okay, very good.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. So motion to approve minutes from 2/13/24.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
Opposed. No.
Okay, one abstain. Okay, thank you. We move to our superintendent's report. Dr. Sternheim.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So this week is Public Schools Week.
So we're celebrating that as well. Last night we held kindergarten orientation night. It was held at all 4 of our elementaries, which is a little bit of a transition in terms of how we've done it in the past. And from what I'm understanding, it went very well. I had the privilege of seeing the fearsome Pirate Frank at the middle school this past weekend, and it was quite an enjoyable performance. I believe our drum line and our color guard performed at Washes on Saturday. I was able to attend that as well. In terms of athletics, and I'm looking over at our students, are we highlighting any wrestlers or no? Okay, so we had several wrestlers, both male and female wrestlers who made it to sectionals. So I want to highlight that as well. And on Friday, we are celebrating Read Across America Day. We have guest readers attending to read books to our elementary learners. So forward to a great week. Thank you.
Thank you. And no public comment tonight, so we'll move on to student board report. Alexis and Mary.
Let's just say we have a lot. We have a lot. Oh, God. International Thespian Society and the All School Production will be performing at Music Makers this Saturday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. as a part of Chocolate Extravaganza in town this weekend. The class of 25 Executive Council met today after school with prom decorator and DJ at Penn State Minato to further discuss / plan prom to be held on May 18th. The class of 27 Executive Council raised over $500 at the bake sale at the Chamber of Commerce Business Expo. The weightlifting club is planning on buying new equipment from the Valentine's Day fundraisers, which was cards. And the History Club had a Pennsylvania representative come to a meeting. And then our Spanish Honor Society just completed a successful grilled sticky fundraiser. They will also be taking a field trip to Washington, D.C. on April 6th. And they will be visiting an authentic Spanish restaurant as well as the Smithsonian National Zoo.
Then Junior Civitan Club is going to host Our Starry Night this Saturday, which is a prom for the special ed students. Then Brainbusters, who is comprised of the captain, who is Emma Coulter, Kieran Clay, Peter Childers, Kyle Swanson, and Olivia Garraway. They finished third with a reward of $1,000. Don't know what they're gonna do with that. That's a lot of money. And we don't know when the future episodes are going to be aired, but they are against Hershey, Elizabethtown, and Hempfield, which is fun. First Light, which is an online journal of exceptional high school writers. We had 2 winners. One was Gavin Rhodes, who submitted a fiction piece with the title Coyotes and Doves. I don't know the specifics about any of these, but the other winner was Chloe Shakru, who also submitted a fiction piece, which was titled A Blaze in the Throne Room. If you want anything else about that, I can find it out. And then next month, National History Day is going to be happening at Messiah University. The regionals for Science Olympiad will be held at Millersville University, which I do know is on the 23rd. And the regional PA Media and Design will be held at LIU. If you want any other dates, I can figure those out. And then tomorrow, there's Trivia Night at Washes from 6 to 7:30. I will be attending. You should definitely join my team because we'll win. $5 per person. And it's tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Very
Thank
good.
you.
So we move to board reports. Let's start with policy committee. Is there anything?
I don't believe there's an update. There are 2 policies for second reading. It's item number 5 under business. We are meeting on, I believe it is the 7th. Our next meeting is March 7th at 1 o'clock.
Right, and academic committee.
No updates, except that we are meeting here in March I'm trying to remember the date that we had it here, March, on my calendar right now.
I have the 12th from my
There
notes
you
from
go.
last meeting. Is
There
that
you go, Ms.
correct?
Yes,
Okay.
there you go.
Okay, thank you. And facilities met this last Tuesday?
Yep, so facilities met. There is a large item for discussion and action. So more on that when we get to it in our agenda this evening. It's kind of our, as you've known, we've done several large projects, mostly this past summer, due to the availability of ESSER funding. And so this is in part, hopefully grant funded. We're applying for a grant, but in part ESSER funding is running out. And so we want to use kind of the last vestiges for a large middle school project. We have talked about, it's been at the meeting, last public meeting. We have talked about the middle school gym. And so we are kind of hoping to have an evaluation of it, of all that needs to be done. And so more to come on that. The next meeting for facilities, we are typically the third Tuesday of the month, so March 19th at 5:30, we're planning to meet in this room. And I'll go ahead and do budget. Budget has not met since last board meeting, but the kind of the big news that recently came in, part of our budget is a line item for the Franklin County Career Tech Center. And that line item, we got the Career Tech Center budget in. Our portion is increasing from last year. A little bit more than what we planned, but in part that's a good thing because that means we have more students at the tech center. So because we have more students going there, taking advantage of the courses and programs there, our share has increased. So that is a good thing. A thing of challenge is they are considering a roofing project. If you remember last year, they replaced a portion of their roof, and that was roughly 182,000. This year, if they plan to do the roofing project, our share will be roughly 200,000. That is with a grant, though. So they are also applying. There's lots of grants out there, so you always can apply for a grant. That doesn't guarantee you get the money or as much as that you want. And so if they do not get the grant, our share will be 764,000, which is more than we were planning. So again, more to come on that, but that is something that'll be part of our budget discussions going forward. Nothing else to report on that other than, again, we typically meet the second Monday of the month. So our next meeting will be March 11th at 5:30 in this room.
Thank you. And as we kind of announced at all of our meetings that the 4 committees that we have here, policy, academic, facilities, and budget, are all open to the public. So invitation to all of the students, if you ever want to attend any of these meetings, they meet, some of them actually meet during the day, so it'd be a little difficult, but a couple that meet during the evening, facilities one. You're welcome to attend those meetings. And we welcome your ideas because sometimes we're making decisions and we don't get the perspective of the individuals who's actually having to either benefit or maybe not benefit from some of these decisions. So your input is needed. And as we mentioned before, it's a part of kind of civic duty to kind of make our district a better place. So please come if you have the time. If you don't have any, you want to. They're not that
Budget is invigorating. I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's always a blast.
exciting. But we welcome your energy, your ideas as well. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to first item of business, and that's the student waiver. You have a motion to approve the student waiver share and board communication.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, move to personnel. And do we have a motion to approve personnel as, oh, I'm sorry. I'm
ready. He's
I'm trying to
ready.
keep it rolling.
Right,
Okay,
we'll
Dr.
we'll
Shaw.
keep it rolling, Mr. Smith. Yeah, we're asking, seeking your approval for, two, professional staff, one retirement and one resignation, one from biology at Washes. We have another, a teacher, Marcy Shea. She is retiring after 35 years of service to the district. That's older than I am. I mean, she served the district more than I am that old, so. We appreciate her years of service, to the district, so thank you, Marcy. And thank you, Ms. Shealy, for your service too in biology. We have four resignations at the support staff level as well as the extracurricular staff level with, Dr. Sirhan mentioned the play. Those two, Mr. Carlson, Ms. Flegel are, resigning there. We have a couple resignation or reassignments, and change of hours for our support staff, looking for your approval for. And then we also have, four, support staff appointments. You'll note there, as well as two softball coaching positions we're seeking approval for, and one student worker.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the personnel as listed.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Wow, Mrs. Shane was one of my daughter's teachers. Wow, what a great teacher in person. Okay. And we move to updates to the 2023-24 school calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So, just for the students that are in the audience, we've had this calendar approved, obviously last school year. However, at this time, I am recommending two changes, which I imagine will make certain students very excited. I am recommending an early dismissal day on April 8th for the solar eclipse. We are partnering with, the Institute as well as NASA to create a community event at the Washes Stadium. So that's my recommendation. The other recommendation is because we have our hours and our days in, I am recommending that we convert May 31st to an Act 80 day. So therefore, the last day of school will be May 30th.
So the motion is to approve the updates to the 2023-24 calendar.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That was real easy. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the next side, oh, sorry,
Oh, yes, okay.
go ahead. I'm not in charge here.
So we've got- so that was 23,
Yeah.
24, 25 school calendar.
That is absolutely correct. Yes. So what you have is a draft of the 2024-25 school calendar for your approval. This was shared with the board, I believe at the last board meeting. We've had admin look at it. We've had teacher groups look at it as well. So at this point, this is my recommendation for the 2024-25 school year as our school calendar. Based on some feedback, we are going to incorporate 3 snow days as opposed to only 2. And in light of the fact that I believe the last few years we haven't been able to use a snow day in December, that those days are now into the early winter, early spring. And yeah, we also have our early dismissal days worked into there as well. It's a unique calendar in my experience. I believe it is the longest, holiday break, between Christmas and New Year's. Again, we work very hard to align our calendar with other Franklin County schools as well as Career Tech. So, I wanted to come back on a Thursday, but at this point, it appears we'd be one of the only schools coming back on the Thursday after the holiday break, and it's not aligning with the Career Tech. So that is my recommendation at this.
Okay. So the motion is to approve the 2024-25 calendar.
Move to approve.
Second. Go ahead. You can do
Question-
it.
Questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we move to the second reading of policy 101 and 815.
All right,
Is
so,
that-
yeah, so Dr. Royer's not here, so I'll go ahead and take those. So the first one is the acceptable use policy for technology resources. I don't know if Mr. Erickson wanted to provide any additional feedback, but the information is listed there. And the other policy is Policy 101 that is just realigning our mission statement based on our most recent comprehensive plan. And I believe we have also corrected the mission statement in the back of the boardroom as well.
So, and then on here, Ms. Hennecke, you see it's recommended action, motion to approve policies 101 and 816.
Is it
Have to change
16
it.
or
You have to
15?
change it to 815,
Okay.
yep.
Sorry.
Okay, so the motion is to approve policies 101 and 815.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, questions? Comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, next we move to the American Red Cross Facility Use Agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So what you have is a facility use agreement. We have signed this in the past, and essentially it creates a partnership between us and the American Red Cross to be able to use our facilities in case of a national, or it wouldn't be necessarily a national emergency, but it could be state emergency. And so the recommendation is to approve the facility use with the understanding that it will be utilized only if necessary.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve.
Move. Second.
Any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Abstain.
I for one, I think it was.
The next, the WellSpan Behavioral Health Letter of Agreement.
Okay, so again, this is a renewal of a contract. At this point, it's simply an agreement. At this point, we do not have learners who are utilizing WellSpan Behavioral Health as an extension of the school district, but this allows us that opportunity if we have the need or the necessity. So it's just a renewal of the agreement.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the WellSpan Behavioral Health Letter of Agreement.
No move. Second.
Any additional questions for Dr. Sterling? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, the WAMS Asbestos Mitigation and Flooring Project. Dr. Holtzman.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So this, as Mr. Marvin had said, is a project we've been looking at for multiple years at this point. One of the things it's not a problem at this point, it's not friable, it's not causing an indoor air quality issue, but it has kind of stopped us in many cases from continuing to modify and change programs and equipment within the building. We've had some bathrooms area back in the old tech area that we couldn't work on and repair because it would involve moving asbestos. Science rooms, the tables in those areas are not really conducive to the way they want to instruct anymore. But again, that's all built in with the asbestos there. And we have a lot of carpeting issues in the building that we'd like to remove it, but the mastic holding it down has the asbestos in it. So believe it or not. And again, when they say it's asbestos in this, it's a very small percentage typically. You're talking maybe 1, 2, 3%, but it is present in there. And so ergo, we have to do a project in order to remove that. We have to go through the proper mitigation process. So we have a lot of different areas of the building. There's a map that was provided to you here as well that we had from Crabtree. They came out and did analysis. What they would do is recommend to go through the process of mitigating it. You have to go through that process. It would be a summer project, so when we don't have people in the building. And then what we would do is replace that flooring with LVT, which is it's called luxury vinyl tile, but it's just vinyl tile really. It's just a marketing, but it's LVT is what it is. Yeah, luxury vinyl tile. The one area that we would actually be replacing for carpeting as well, though, that does not have any asbestos mastic or in the flooring itself is the auditorium. The auditorium itself, the carpeting in that area has been in very poor shape for a very long time. It's probably ideal if you're doing a project that you kind of get an economies of scale to go ahead and replace carpeting and flooring in an area. And that's why we're also recommending replacing that auditorium carpeting at this time as well. There are two small additional, there's going to be a little bit of additional costs for testing as well as for replacement of the science tables. We haven't scoped out all of that yet. But what Crabtree did give us as a range, their range for the majority of the projects anywhere from about $313,000 to $387,000. That includes the mitigation as well as the flooring, does not include the tables and some additional testing that we have to do and conduct. The funds themselves would come from the capital reserve, so it's not a direct budget hit, so to speak. We don't have to change our budget for this, but it comes out of the reserve itself. The time span for this would be starting right after school lets out. In fact, that's one of the calendar changes that would give time at the middle school to move equipment items out of those classrooms so that we could go ahead and put those into a space that we do not have to mitigate. Typically, looking at either the gym or the cafeteria probably in those cases. And then that way we'd have the project finished before school starts and the teachers return.
Okay, wow. Long one here. Okay, so the motion is to approve the bid specifications and documents and for the district to advertise the WAMS, the project, and then funds for this project to be used from the committed fund balance for capital projects. The board also authorizes the administration to apply for an environmental grant to cover up to 50% of the mitigation project or cost of the mitigation project under Act 33.
Yes, sir, I apologize. Thank you for
Okay.
explaining
Yeah,
that piece.
that's a long
So
one.
we will submit for a grant as well for that process. So we don't know if we'll get the grant or not, but they just made the grants available from Pennsylvania Department of Education. So we will apply for that grant as well. So hopefully the grant is actually designed for cases just such as this, and the grant was just released here in February. So we want to be hopeful and optimistic.
So
Just a
that's the
clarification.
motion, yeah.
The specs are already written?
They actually
So-
have to develop, so basically this is to move to that next step to say, we're gonna go ahead and put the specs together and then we'll put it out to advertise. Now, it'll move relatively rapidly. All that information will still have to come back to the board, though. The board will still ultimately have to approve the actual project. So you're actually gonna have to approve the bid results of that project itself. So that will be a future meeting as well. But
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry for the confusion. It's just a long one, but
No, it is a
let's
long
just
one.
kind of
Yeah.
condense it here and say the motion is to approve, I guess, the initiation of the project, which includes bid specifications and documents, funds for the project to be used from the committed fund balance. So that's a part of it as well, making sure, sort of designating where those funds will come from, and then applying for the grant. So that's all a part of the motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any additional questions or comments or concerns?
Just the comment from facilities and budget. Over the past couple of years, we've tried to pick a large summer project. Last year it was kind of more school wide, so we did lots of projects across a lot of different buildings. We actually put this project on hold because of the amount we were doing last year. Again, the big thing is this actually enables us to do more future work as well. So this is kind of the legwork to get the majority of the flooring out, replace the flooring as a part of that, the science tables, and then the middle school auditorium, that carpet has been in need of repair for a while. So kind of in terms of a great economics term, economies of scale, and throwing that in to help with that. As a future facilities discussion in the coming months, we will also discuss while we're doing this, whether or not we will do any additional work in the WAMS auditorium, primarily with lighting and electrical and stage equipment and things like that. But we wanted to get a move on this first. So this is kind of in terms of priority, the big project we have anticipated for this summer from the facilities committee.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any-
Aye.
Thank you.
And so we move to purchase orders, bills, and for payment. Dr. Holzman?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we have the normal board bills payable. That's for the general fund and the cafeteria fund. Always remembering that our cafeteria fund operates as its own enterprise fund. So the expenses and revenues have to be kept separate in that case. Then we also have requisitions here as well. So once those requisitions are approved, then that becomes a purchase order. So the board actually approves that. Then you ultimately approve the actual checks down the road, which is the second part of that process. We also have the treasurer's report there that just gives you a snapshot of really where the fund balances are for each different fund that we have in the district. As you can see, we have several different funds and they're all designed for specific purposes. So, and I'm elaborating a little bit for our friends in the audience as well. So, but we have everything from a general fund to a scholarship funds, life skills house, payroll fund. So we have multiple different funds that have to be managed as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. So the motions to approve the purchase orders for bills and payment and the treasurer's report for January 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Any additional questions for Dr. Holzman? Anyone? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, so we move to Clayton Cabinet comments. Anyone? from Clayton Cabinet?
Yeah, if I could share, Dr. McCallum, did you say the 7 in the front row here, they each have a 2-minute speech prepared for everybody? Oh, 5 minutes. Speech. Okay. Who wants to start? No, I'm only serious. No, I just want to give a shout out to a lot of our teams that are doing some different work. Our kindergarten's first, second, and third grade team, and our third grade's currently working on our standards-based report cards. Our Sites on Stills, which is a team composed of kindergarten through 12th grade teachers working on the still standards coming up for science. Our Minds on Math team continues to work at the elementary level on moving forward with considering various math resources for use moving ahead. Our K-12 curriculum frame teams and the years at a glance that they're working on. We had some really great instructional conversations today, and I know spoke with Mrs. McGuire. They had some great conversations with the standards-based report cards yesterday with the third grade team. So we appreciate everybody's work for that coming in after school and putting the time in doing that. And while that's all going on, we have a lot of instructional stuff going on during the day, and I got to experience a variety of things from linking verbs, getting a refresher on linking verbs, to genes, not blue ones, but like the XY chromosomes and the Punnett squares kind of stuff. U.S. citizenship. I actually had the opportunity to take the U.S. citizenship test, and I did get 2 wrong, but I passed. So I'm good to go there. That was in one of the. Yeah. I forget how many you had to get right. And to symmetry today, I was in a great, and all of these included a lot of great instructional activities and practices and techniques. So kudos to our teachers and educators. And one last comment I want to share is I had the opportunity, I know at WASH's as well as WAMS, they're working on implementing Leader in Me training, which was approved last year. And I know Dr. McCallum and others have put a lot of time and energy into that. And I was sitting in the team that was meeting with Mr. DeAngelis, and the topic when I came in was on trust. And I thought it was really powerful because what was so amazing about it is all this stuff we're doing really is based upon trust and being able to be open and honest, professionally and respectfully, and challenge each other's thinking, and that's what helps us to grow. And I just want to give kudos to all of our folks for doing all this work, our teachers, our admin. So keep up the good work. So thanks. Oh, yeah. And I was supposed to report this. Music in our schools concert is Thursday at 7 p.m. So.
At the high school, right? Yep.
Is
it band this year? Yes. It's band.
I did have one quick one for you, Mr. Smith. About every 5 years, and it's longer if you've done really well in the past, we have to go through an administrative review with our cafeteria. So if you've had problems, it's less than 5 years, but in our case, it was 5 years because we had a good one last time. But they just finished that today and they had no findings. And that's incredible. That shows that team just does a phenomenal job. our food service group not only has to operate by all of the health code requirements, but there are a tremendous number of state and federal requirements that they have to go through. The list is extensive. They start working on this probably about 5 months ago, and they have to upload a tremendous number of documents to the state field advisor who goes through all of this. They start working through that ahead of time, and then they do an actual on-site visit. That was yesterday and today, where they actually review some of the cafeteria work themselves. I can tell you, it's just an amazing process on how much work they have to do. But again, to have no findings is just tremendous. I mean, that shows, and again, the whole team is responsible, but, Ruth Hellman is the leader for that team. Ashley Rock did a fantastic job. She's been involved heavily with the nutrition side. Becky Hess, Donna Truax, Chelsea Sanders have all done a wonderful job. But again, every person in that cafeteria has just done an excellent job to make sure that we get these results.
Any board member comments tonight? Anyone?
Well, I would just like to welcome the young folks out there and give my standard speech that the future of this area, our Commonwealth, and the United States are in your hands in the future. So I recommend that you go to your town, go to a township, Washington Township meeting, or one Alto Council meeting, or Borough of Waynesboro meeting. See how your local government works and get involved, because you may be up here someday. One of you may be mayor or president of the township supervisors. So the future of all of us are in your hands.
Any other members?
Go ahead.
I had the opportunity to go to Breakfast with Buddies this past week at Maury, and I had realized some of my friends that I went to school with, they posted about donuts for grown-ups, maybe something of that nature from Fairview. So I just want to thank the principals for opening up the school for us to be able to come in and enjoy a little bit of time with our children, or in my case, my nephew. It was very well attended at Maury to the point where they had to add extra tables. So thanks principals for that.
Rachel and I will be attending the career techs nursing graduation this Thursday night.
I have just a couple of quick things. Anecdotally, kindergarten orientation for my third one went really well at Summit View. So he is really excited. He got to go in the same classroom that his two older sisters went in. So that was a lot of fun. I meant to mention earlier and forgot, a big thank you to our maintenance and facilities group. Over the past month, they've closed 208 tickets, which if you're keeping score, that's when I was looking at it, I think that's the most tickets they've closed in that time frame, going back a couple of years. There was essentially a 2.5 month where they did 228 over a winter break. So in the course of a month, 208 tickets is a lot. They could be something simple or something complex. So I think our maintenance facilities teams are doing a good job of being responsive and taking care of our buildings, definitely a little bit more behind the scenes than regular. And then the last thing, I just want to compliment our high school counselors. I'm involved with the Franklin County Leadership programs, and there's an adult program and a youth program. And the executive director had nothing but praise to say about our high school counselors and how they work with the students, particularly with the students that are applying to be a part of the Youth Leadership Franklin. And so she was highly complimentary of both the students that were applying, but especially how the counselors went out of their way to help students with applications and then help them with the interview process after they applied. So I think we have a great group of counselors over there at the high school.
Right, thank you. I welcome you, and I'm glad you came tonight. We come back again the next meeting. We'll have learners from Maury. Here.
It's the learner showcase would be Mr. Weatherall and a Maury learner or learners. Yeah,
Yep.
that
At
would
our-
be the next meeting.
Our February 12th meeting, we had learners from Summit View, and they were chosen because of kind acts, if you will, that they were observed by their classmates, doing in their buildings. So come back, join us. All right. Thank you for everyone, everybody's comments and contributions tonight. Let's have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
And before we started our meeting, we had an executive session. And so we will not have an executive session after the meeting. So thank you. Good evening.